of Joe Dispenza and rooted in the science of meditation, rewiring your subconscious, and embracing the unknown. If you're ready to break free from old patterns and create a future full of happiness, success, and fulfillment, this audiobook is for you. Are you tired of living on autopilot, stuck in the same cycles of stress, negativity, and old habits? What if you could rewire your brain in just 1 week and start living the life you truly deserve? Discover the secret to breaking free from the past and stepping into a future full of possibilities, all through the power of your mind. Focus points. The brain's tendency to replay the same mental patterns every day. How negative thinking locks you into old habits and emotions. The role of meditation in accessing and rewiring the subconscious mind. Breaking free from survival mode and stepping into the unknown. Using thought and emotion to manifest your desired future. What you'll learn. How your thoughts and emotions shape your reality. The power of meditation to create lasting changes in your brain. Strategies to break free from negative thinking and emotional patterns. The importance of stepping out of your comfort zone for true growth. How to train your brain to act like a map to your future, rather than a record of your past. Focus point 1: the brain's tendency to replay the same mental patterns every day. The human brain is a complex organ designed for efficiency. One of its most defining characteristics is the way it operates through repetitive patterns, often referred to as neural circuits. These circuits are created by repeated thoughts, behaviors, and emotions, which form lasting connections. As the brain continues to replay these patterns, they become deeply ingrained, influencing how we think, feel, and act daily. In his book Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, Joe Dispenza explains that by the time we reach adulthood, most of our thoughts, emotions, and actions are habitual, deeply wired into the brain's neural network. The brain operates like a record of the past, constantly replaying old memories, emotions, and behaviors. As Dispenza puts it, we become addicted to our own emotional states. Our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors become habitual, so much so that they become automatic. Neuroscientist Donald Hebb's principle, often summarized as neurons that fire together, wire together, is central to understanding this process. When we repeatedly think the same thoughts or engage in the same behaviors, the neurons in our brain form stronger connections, making those thoughts or actions easier to repeat. This is why habits, whether positive or negative, are so hard to break. The brain becomes accustomed to these patterns, and they become part of who we are. For instance, if you wake up each morning and immediately begin thinking about problems or challenges you faced the previous day, your brain naturally revisits those negative emotions. Each time you recall a past issue, the associated neural circuit becomes more robust. Over time, this thinking becomes automatic, reinforcing a cycle of stress or worry that feels almost impossible to escape. This is why people often feel stuck in the same life situations. They are mentally trapped by their brain's habitual wiring. Research has shown that about 95% of our daily actions and thoughts are driven by the subconscious mind, leaving only about 5% for conscious, deliberate decision-making. Dr. Bruce Lipton, in his book The Biology of Belief, emphasizes this, stating that we are running on programs, not by conscious choice, but by habits that we acquired during our early development. Lipton explains that many of these programs were created in childhood, based on our environment and early experiences, and they continue to influence our adult lives unless consciously changed. Take the classic study by Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky on cognitive biases, particularly the availability heuristic. This theory explains how we tend to rely on information that is readily available in our minds when making decisions. In other words, our brain replays familiar mental patterns because they are easier to access. If negative experiences or problems dominate our mental space, they influence our present-day thinking and actions. This cyclical nature of the brain can be seen in everyday life. If you constantly think about how you were wronged in the past or how difficult your life is, your brain strengthens those neural pathways, making it easier to fall back into those same negative thought patterns. Over time, this repetition shapes your reality. For instance, someone who continually relives a past failure might develop a self-identity centered around fear of failure, resulting in a life filled with missed opportunities or low self-esteem. The challenge, then, is how to break free from these repetitive mental loops. Modern neuroscience offers hope through a concept known as neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself. This means that while old patterns may be deeply ingrained, they are not permanent. New neural circuits can be created by introducing new thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. Meditation, mindfulness, and mental rehearsal are powerful tools in this process. By consciously thinking about a different, positive future, you can start to override the brain's tendency to replay past negative experiences. The brain doesn't differentiate between real and imagined experiences. Studies have shown that when individuals visualize themselves performing an activity, the same neural circuits are activated as if they were actually doing it. This is why athletes often mentally rehearse their performance before competitions. By visualizing success, they train their brain to expect it. In the same way, by focusing on positive thoughts and future goals instead of past problems, you can begin to create new neural pathways. Over time, this will help shift your mindset from one rooted in the past to one focused on the future. Recommendations: start your day by focusing on your goals and aspirations, rather than revisiting past problems. Engage in daily mindfulness or meditation practices to rewire your brain toward positive thinking. Mentally rehearse the future you desire, visualizing the emotions and actions aligned with that reality. Interrupt negative thought patterns with deliberate, positive affirmations or mantras. Be patient and consistent, recognizing that neural circuits take time to change, but neuroplasticity makes it possible to reshape your brain. Focus point 2: how negative emotions shape your state of being. Emotions are powerful forces that not only reflect our internal states, but also have the capacity to shape our entire reality. When negative emotions, such as anger, fear, sadness, or resentment, are repeatedly experienced, they become ingrained in our psyche, eventually defining who we are and how we perceive the world. Over time, these emotions can solidify into patterns of behavior that lock us into a particular state of being. Neuroscientific research has shown that emotions are tied to biochemical reactions in the brain and body. When we experience a negative emotion, our brain triggers the release of stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. These chemicals activate our fight-or-flight response, preparing the body for immediate action. While this response is useful in dangerous situations, when it becomes chronic, due to prolonged negative emotions, it can wreak havoc on both mental and physical health. Over time, constant stress and negative emotional states create an unhealthy cycle where the brain and body become conditioned to expect and react to negativity. Dr. Joe Dispenza states, "Our thoughts can become so repetitive that they create feelings and emotions that become familiar. We become addicted to the very emotions we're trying to avoid." In this sense, the brain and body start to crave the chemical responses associated with negativity, reinforcing the patterns that keep us trapped in these emotional states. This creates what Dispenza calls the emotional addiction, where even though the conscious mind might want change, the subconscious is addicted to the familiarity of negative feelings. The link between emotions and identity is crucial. Imagine someone who experiences anger regularly. At first, anger may be a response to a specific situation, such as feeling wronged or frustrated. But as this person continues to feel anger in similar situations, their brain and body begin to expect it, and over time, anger becomes an automatic reaction. Eventually, this person may start identifying as an angry person, not realizing that they have allowed a single emotion to shape their character. This connection between emotion and identity was explored in a study conducted by researchers at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. The study found that individuals who habitually experienced negative emotions, such as stress or fear, exhibited changes in brain structure, particularly in areas associated with emotional regulation. These individuals showed heightened activity in the amygdala, the brain's fear center, and decreased activity in the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for rational thinking and decision-making. Over time, these neural changes made it more difficult for them to manage their emotions, resulting in a vicious cycle where negative emotions became more intense and harder to escape. Philosopher William James once said, "The greatest weapon against stress is our ability to choose one thought over another." However, choosing positive thoughts becomes increasingly difficult when negative emotions have taken root in the brain and body. This is where the state of being comes into play. Your state of being is the cumulative result of your thoughts and emotions. If your thoughts are dominated by the past, by regrets, fears, or resentments, your emotional state reflects this, and you become stuck in survival mode. The concept of emotional contagion further explains how powerful emotions are in shaping not only our internal world but also our relationships and environments. Emotional contagion is the phenomenon where one person's emotions can spread to others. When someone consistently operates from a place of negativity, their emotional state often influences those around them, creating a ripple effect of negative energy. This is why people who dwell on anger or sadness may find themselves in toxic environments, as their emotional state attracts similar energies from others. One particularly compelling illustration of how emotions affect our state of being comes from Dr. Masaru Emoto's experiments with water crystals. Emoto hypothesized that human emotions could influence the molecular structure of water. In his experiment, he exposed water to various emotions, both positive and negative, and then froze the water to examine the crystals that formed. The results were striking. Water exposed to positive emotions, such as love or gratitude, formed beautiful, symmetrical crystals, while water exposed to negative emotions, like hatred or fear, formed disfigured, chaotic structures. While controversial, Emoto's work suggests that emotions carry a tangible energy capable of influencing not only our inner world but potentially the physical world around us. Consider how this translates into everyday life. If your day starts with frustration or anxiety, these emotions create a cascade of negative reactions in your brain and body. You may carry this energy with you throughout the day, which affects how you interact with others, how you perceive events, and how you make decisions. Over time, this consistent emotional state becomes part of your identity, coloring your experiences and perpetuating a cycle of negativity. Dr. Brené Brown, in her research on vulnerability and shame, highlights how negative emotions, particularly shame and fear, can create barriers to personal growth and connection. She explains, "We cannot selectively numb emotions. When we numb the painful emotions, we also numb the positive emotions. When individuals allow negative emotions to dominate their inner life, they not only cut themselves off from potential growth but also from the positive emotions, like joy, love, and contentment, that could enhance their overall well-being." The key, then, is to break this cycle by consciously altering how we respond to and experience emotions. This doesn't mean suppressing negative emotions, but rather acknowledging them without allowing them to define our identity or state of being. Emotional intelligence, the ability to recognize, understand, and manage our emotions, plays a crucial role in this transformation. By practicing mindfulness and meditation, individuals can increase their emotional awareness and begin to change the habitual emotional patterns that govern their state of being. Recommendations: recognize and label your emotions to avoid being controlled by them. Practice mindfulness to become more aware of emotional triggers and reactions. Use meditation to reframe negative emotions and create space for positive emotional states. Surround yourself with positive influences to counteract emotional contagion from negative environments. Focus on gratitude and positive affirmations to gradually shift your emotional baseline. Focus point 3. Meditation can reprogram your brain. Meditation is a powerful tool that enables us to reprogram our brain by accessing the subconscious mind. This practice goes beyond relaxation. It allows us to fundamentally reshape our mental processes, break free from negative patterns, and create new, more empowering ways of thinking and being. Modern neuroscience has revealed that meditation can physically alter the brain through a process called neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout life. Through meditation, we can harness this natural ability to rewire our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. For years, scientists believed that the adult brain was largely static, incapable of significant change. However, research over the last few decades has shown that the brain is far more malleable than once thought. Neuroplasticity proves that the brain is not only capable of changing, but it also does so regularly in response to experiences, thoughts, and behaviors. Dr. Sarah Lazar, a neuroscientist at Harvard Medical School, conducted groundbreaking studies on the effects of meditation on the brain. Her research showed that long-term meditation could increase the thickness of the prefrontal cortex, the area of the brain associated with higher-order thinking, decision-making, and emotional regulation. In contrast, meditation reduces the size of the amygdala, the brain's fear center, which is responsible for triggering stress and anxiety responses. Meditation, particularly mindfulness meditation, creates a state of deep focus and relaxation where the brain shifts from the high-frequency beta waves, which are associated with active thinking and stress, to slower, more stable alpha and theta brain waves. These lower-frequency brain waves are linked to states of relaxation, creativity, and deep learning. In this state, the conscious, analytical mind, the part responsible for logic, reasoning, and critical thinking, takes a step back, allowing access to the subconscious mind, where deep-seated beliefs, emotions, and habits reside. Dr. Joe Dispenza's research has demonstrated that the subconscious mind operates around 95% of the time, meaning that much of what we think, feel, and do is governed by unconscious programs. Meditation, therefore, is essential because it enables us to enter a state where these programs can be identified and changed. Dispenza asserts, to change is to think greater than your environment, greater than the circumstances in your life, greater than the conditions in the world. Through meditation, we can quiet the external noise, enter the subconscious, and begin reprogramming these deep-rooted patterns. This transformation process can be seen in studies of Tibetan monks, who have meditated for decades. In one such study, led by neuroscientist Dr. Richard Davidson at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, researchers measured the brain activity of monks during meditation and found exceptionally high levels of gamma waves, which are associated with heightened awareness and cognitive function. This suggested that long-term meditation had not only changed the monks' emotional and mental states, but also enhanced their overall brain function. The monks were able to maintain a state of emotional balance and focus even in stressful conditions, indicating that meditation had reprogrammed their brains to respond differently to external stimuli. Meditation also has the power to reshape how we perceive ourselves and the world around us. When we meditate, we shift from our usual patterns of reactive thinking, where we are constantly responding to external stimuli, to a more reflective and mindful state. This mindfulness creates space between stimulus and response, allowing us to break free from the automatic reactions that often drive our behavior. Through consistent meditation, the brain learns to slow down, and we develop the ability to observe our thoughts without judgment. This observation is key because it helps us identify negative thought patterns and beliefs that we may have been unaware of. Once identified, these patterns can be dismantled and replaced with more constructive and empowering ones. In addition to cognitive and emotional benefits, meditation has been shown to reprogram the brain in ways that enhance overall well-being and physical health. The well-known mindfulness-based stress reduction (MBSR) program, developed by Dr. John Kabat-Zinn, has been extensively studied for its impact on stress reduction, chronic pain, and mental health. Research has shown that participants in the MBSR program experienced significant reductions in stress, anxiety, and depression, as well as improvements in immune function. These changes are tied to shifts in the brain, as meditation alters the activity in areas like the hippocampus, which is involved in memory and emotion regulation, and the anterior cingulate cortex, responsible for self-regulation and conflict resolution. Moreover, meditation's ability to rewire the brain goes beyond just personal well-being. It fosters qualities such as compassion, empathy, and interconnectedness. Loving-kindness meditation, a practice focused on cultivating feelings of love and kindness toward oneself and others, has been shown to increase activity in brain regions related to empathy and emotional processing. Neuroscientists like Dr. Tanya Singer from the Max Planck Institute have studied how this type of meditation can increase prosocial behavior and reduce prejudice. By fostering a more compassionate and open mindset, meditation has the potential to reprogram not only individual behavior but also societal interactions. In practical terms, the key to successfully reprogramming the brain through meditation is consistency. Just as repeated negative thoughts can reinforce undesirable neural pathways, repeated positive and mindful thoughts can forge new, more beneficial ones. The more you meditate and direct your thoughts toward your desired future, the more your brain will adapt, creating the mental and emotional framework needed to support that future. Over time, these new neural connections become stronger, making it easier to maintain the changes you seek. Recommendations: develop a consistent meditation practice to create lasting neural changes. Focus on mindfulness to observe and dismantle negative thought patterns. Practice deep, focused meditation to access and reprogram your subconscious mind. Incorporate loving-kindness meditation to foster empathy and compassion, rewiring the brain for prosocial behaviors. Use visualization techniques during meditation to mentally rehearse the future you desire, training your brain to expect success and happiness. Focus point 3: meditation can reprogram your brain. Meditation is a powerful tool that enables us to reprogram our brain by accessing the subconscious mind. This practice goes beyond relaxation. It allows us to fundamentally reshape our mental processes, break free from negative patterns, and create new, more empowering ways of thinking and being. Modern neuroscience has revealed that meditation can physically alter the brain through a process called neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout life. Through meditation, we can harness this natural ability to rewire our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. For years, scientists believed that the adult brain was largely static, incapable of significant change. However, research over the last few decades has shown that the brain is far more malleable than once thought. Neuroplasticity proves that the brain is not only capable of changing, but it also does so regularly in response to experiences, thoughts, and behaviors. Dr. Sarah Lazar, a neuroscientist at Harvard Medical School, conducted groundbreaking studies on the effects of meditation on the brain. Her research showed that long-term meditation could increase the thickness of the prefrontal cortex, the area of the brain associated with higher-order thinking, decision-making, and emotional regulation. In contrast, meditation reduces the size of the amygdala, the brain's fear center, which is responsible for triggering stress and anxiety responses. Meditation, particularly mindfulness meditation, creates a state of deep focus and relaxation where the brain shifts from the high-frequency beta waves, which are associated with active thinking and stress, to slower, more stable alpha and theta brain waves. These lower-frequency brain waves are linked to states of relaxation, creativity, and deep learning. In this state, the conscious, analytical mind, the part responsible for logic, reasoning, and critical thinking, takes a step back, allowing access to the subconscious mind, where deep-seated beliefs, emotions, and habits reside. Dr. Joe Dispenza's research has demonstrated that the subconscious mind operates around 95% of the time, meaning that much of what we think, feel, and do is governed by unconscious programs. Meditation, therefore, is essential because it enables us to enter a state where these programs can be identified and changed. Dispenza asserts, to change is to think greater than your environment, greater than the circumstances in your life, greater than the conditions in the world. Through meditation, we can quiet the external noise, enter the subconscious, and begin reprogramming these deep-rooted patterns. This transformation process can be seen in studies of Tibetan monks, who have meditated for decades. In one such study, led by neuroscientist Dr. Richard Davidson at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, researchers measured the brain activity of monks during meditation and found exceptionally high levels of gamma waves, which are associated with heightened awareness and cognitive function. This suggested that long-term meditation had not only changed the monks' emotional and mental states, but also enhanced their overall brain function. The monks were able to maintain a state of emotional balance and focus even in stressful conditions, indicating that meditation had reprogrammed their brains to respond differently to external stimuli. Meditation also has the power to reshape how we perceive ourselves and the world around us. When we meditate, we shift from our usual patterns of reactive thinking, where we are constantly responding to external stimuli, to a more reflective and mindful state. This mindfulness creates space between stimulus and response, allowing us to break free from the automatic reactions that often drive our behavior. Through consistent meditation, the brain learns to slow down, and we develop the ability to observe our thoughts without judgment. This observation is key because it helps us identify negative thought patterns and beliefs that we may have been unaware of. Once identified, these patterns can be dismantled and replaced with more constructive and empowering ones. In addition to cognitive and emotional benefits, meditation has been shown to reprogram the brain in ways that enhance overall well-being and physical health. The well-known mindfulness-based stress reduction (MBSR) program, developed by Dr. John Kabat-Zinn, has been extensively studied for its impact on stress reduction, chronic pain, and mental health. Research has shown that participants in the MBSR program experienced significant reductions in stress, anxiety, and depression, as well as improvements in immune function. These changes are tied to shifts in the brain, as meditation alters the activity in areas like the hippocampus, which is involved in memory and emotion regulation, and the anterior cingulate cortex, responsible for self-regulation and conflict resolution. Moreover, meditation's ability to rewire the brain goes beyond just personal well-being. It fosters qualities such as compassion, empathy, and interconnectedness. Loving-kindness meditation, a practice focused on cultivating feelings of love and kindness toward oneself and others, has been shown to increase activity in brain regions related to empathy and emotional processing. Neuroscientists like Dr. Tanya Singer from the Max Planck Institute have studied how this type of meditation can increase prosocial behavior and reduce prejudice. By fostering a more compassionate and open mindset, meditation has the potential to reprogram not only individual behavior but also societal interactions. In practical terms, the key to successfully reprogramming the brain through meditation is consistency. Just as repeated negative thoughts can reinforce undesirable neural pathways, repeated positive and mindful thoughts can forge new, more beneficial ones. The more you meditate and direct your thoughts toward your desired future, the more your brain will adapt, creating the mental and emotional framework needed to support that future. Over time, these new neural connections become stronger, making it easier to maintain the changes you seek. Recommendations: develop a consistent meditation practice to create lasting neural changes. Focus on mindfulness to observe and dismantle negative thought patterns. Practice deep, focused meditation to access and reprogram your subconscious mind. Incorporate loving-kindness meditation to foster empathy and compassion, rewiring the brain for prosocial behaviors. Use visualization techniques during meditation to mentally rehearse the future you desire, training your brain to expect success and happiness. Focus point 4. Most people live in survival mode. Living in survival mode means that individuals operate primarily from a state of fear, stress, and reactivity. This mental and emotional state is deeply ingrained in human biology, dating back to our ancestors who faced physical dangers daily. The fight-or-flight response evolved as a survival mechanism to protect us from threats, allowing the body to quickly react to danger by either fleeing or confronting it. While this response was necessary for physical survival in prehistoric times, the modern world rarely presents the same immediate dangers. However, many people still live in a state of chronic stress, triggering the same survival mechanisms in response to perceived threats like work pressure, financial difficulties, or interpersonal conflicts. In survival mode, the brain is predominantly focused on short-term safety and survival rather than long-term growth, creativity, and fulfillment. The amygdala, the brain's fear center, becomes hyperactive, constantly scanning the environment for potential threats. This heightened state of alertness directs most of our energy and attention to managing perceived risks, leaving little room for self-reflection, emotional growth, or the pursuit of higher aspirations. Dr. Joe Dispenza calls this living in emergency mode, where the body is conditioned to expect the worst and the brain becomes hardwired to anticipate negative outcomes. Psychologists have found that people who chronically experience stress or trauma may enter a prolonged state of survival mode, which can lead to a condition called learned helplessness. This theory, first introduced by psychologist Martin Seligman in the 1960s, suggests that when individuals repeatedly face adverse situations in which they feel they have no control, they eventually stop trying to improve their circumstances, even when opportunities for change arise. Their nervous systems become so accustomed to the stress response that they remain in a heightened state of arousal, unable to shift into a more relaxed and creative state of mind. Living in survival mode also has significant physiological consequences. The continuous activation of the stress response leads to the overproduction of stress hormones, particularly cortisol. Elevated cortisol levels can have a wide range of negative effects, including impaired immune function, disrupted sleep, increased blood pressure, and even damage to the brain's hippocampus, which is responsible for memory and learning. Over time, this stress can also lead to burnout, anxiety disorders, and depression, trapping individuals in a cycle of emotional and physical deterioration. Dr. Bruce Lipton, a cell biologist, has explored how survival mode affects not only the mind but also the body at a cellular level. His research demonstrates that chronic stress can alter the way our genes are expressed, influencing everything from immunity to disease susceptibility. Lipton explains that when we are in a state of constant stress, our cells shift from a growth state to a protection state, focusing on short-term defense mechanisms rather than long-term health and vitality. This shift, he argues, is why prolonged stress and negative emotional states can contribute to the development of chronic diseases. The tendency to live in survival mode is deeply connected to past experiences, as the brain learns to predict future outcomes based on past events. If someone has repeatedly experienced failure, rejection, or trauma, they may begin to expect similar outcomes in future situations, even when the circumstances are different. This creates a self-fulfilling prophecy, where the expectation of negative outcomes influences behaviors and decisions in ways that perpetuate the same results. As a result, individuals remain stuck in survival mode, unable to break free from the patterns that reinforce their fears. The work of Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, sheds light on the mental shift required to escape survival mode. Frankl's theory of logotherapy posits that the human drive is not survival alone but the pursuit of meaning. He argued that even in the direst circumstances, individuals can transcend their immediate suffering by finding purpose and meaning in their experiences. Frankl's insights highlight the importance of shifting from a survival-based mindset to one that focuses on growth and purpose, allowing individuals to move beyond mere survival and toward a fulfilling life. Neuroscientific research supports this idea. Studies have shown that people who regularly engage in goal setting, mindfulness, or practices that promote a sense of purpose experience increased activity in the prefrontal cortex, the area of the brain responsible for planning, decision-making, and emotional regulation. This part of the brain helps to counterbalance the amygdala's fear response, allowing individuals to make more thoughtful, long-term decisions rather than reacting impulsively to perceived threats. Despite the difficulties of breaking out of survival mode, it is possible to retrain the brain to shift from fear-based thinking to a more expansive and creative state. Meditation, mindfulness practices, and cognitive behavioral techniques all play a crucial role in this transformation. When individuals practice mindfulness, for example, they become more aware of their automatic responses to stress and can consciously choose to respond differently. This act of observing and altering one's thoughts disrupts the brain's habitual patterns and begins to weaken the neural connections that keep the survival mode active. This shift can be seen in heart-brain coherence practices, such as those developed by the HeartMath Institute, which demonstrate the connection between emotional regulation and physiological responses. By practicing deep breathing and focusing on positive emotions like gratitude or compassion, individuals can bring their heart and brain into a state of synchronization. This coherence reduces the stress response, calms the amygdala, and promotes feelings of safety and well-being. Over time, this practice can help retrain the brain to stay out of survival mode and foster a more balanced, resilient state of mind. The challenge in breaking free from survival mode is that the body often becomes addicted to the emotional states associated with stress and fear. As Dr. Joe Dispenza points out, the body becomes the mind, meaning that when we experience chronic stress, our bodies become accustomed to the biochemical signals of stress and, in turn, crave those signals. This is why people may feel uncomfortable or restless when they first try to relax or meditate. Their bodies are used to being in a state of hyperarousal and resist letting go of that tension. To break this cycle, it's essential to persist in practices like meditation, even when the body resists. Over time, the brain and body will learn to associate calm and peace with safety, allowing individuals to leave survival mode behind. Recommendations: practice mindfulness and meditation to interrupt survival-based thinking. Develop a sense of purpose to shift focus from short-term survival to long-term growth. Use breathwork and heart-brain coherence techniques to reduce stress and promote emotional regulation. Engage in cognitive behavioral techniques to reframe negative beliefs and break habitual thought patterns. Prioritize self-care and stress management to support both mental and physical health, reducing the need for survival mode responses. Focus point 5: Embrace the unknown. Embracing the unknown is a fundamental principle of personal growth and transformation. Human beings are naturally inclined toward predictability and certainty. The mind craves stability and security because these states provide comfort and reduce the perceived risks that come with uncertainty. However, personal and spiritual development requires stepping out of the comfort zone and moving into the unknown, a place where real transformation can occur. This process is challenging because it involves facing uncertainty, overcoming fear, and embracing new possibilities without knowing the outcome in advance. Psychologically, the desire for certainty is rooted in the brain's survival mechanisms. The brain is constantly trying to predict and control the environment to ensure safety. When faced with uncertainty, the brain perceives it as a threat, triggering the amygdala to initiate a stress response. This is why stepping into the unknown can feel uncomfortable or even frightening. It activates a primal fear of the unpredictable, which often keeps people stuck in familiar but unproductive patterns. However, neuroscience has shown that by repeatedly facing and embracing uncertainty, we can train the brain to become more comfortable with it, reducing the stress response over time. Carl Jung, the renowned Swiss psychologist, emphasized the importance of embracing the unknown in the process of self-realization. He argued that personal growth requires individuals to confront the unconscious parts of themselves, the unknown aspects of their psyche that they may have been avoiding. Jung believed that the unknown, though initially perceived as dark or chaotic, contains the seeds of self-discovery and potential. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious, he famously stated. This means that transformation happens not by avoiding the unknown but by engaging with it courageously. In his book The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle touches on the importance of living in the present moment and letting go of the mind's need for control over the future. Tolle explains that much of human suffering comes from the mind's obsession with trying to predict and control outcomes, which prevents individuals from fully experiencing life in the present. When we release the need to control the future, we open ourselves to the unknown, and with it, the potential for new experiences and opportunities that we couldn't have imagined. This openness to the unknown is the key to accessing the infinite possibilities available in each moment. Scientific research supports the idea that embracing uncertainty can lead to positive outcomes. A study conducted at Columbia University by neuroscientist Dr. Kevin Oxner revealed that uncertainty can increase creativity and problem-solving abilities. When individuals are placed in situations where they don't know the answer or the outcome, their brains are forced to think in more innovative and flexible ways. This mental flexibility is critical for personal growth because it allows us to break free from old, rigid thought patterns and consider new perspectives. The study found that when participants embraced uncertainty rather than avoiding it, they were better able to come up with creative solutions to problems. The concept of neuroplasticity, or the brain's ability to change and adapt, further explains why embracing the unknown is so transformative. When we consistently face uncertainty, our brain begins to form new neural connections, which enhance cognitive flexibility and emotional resilience. Each time we step into the unknown and navigate it successfully, the brain strengthens its capacity to deal with future uncertainties. Over time, this rewiring allows us to approach the unknown not with fear but with curiosity and openness. The more we challenge ourselves to embrace uncertainty, the more adept we become at handling change and growth. Joseph Campbell, a prominent mythologist, articulated the transformative power of the unknown in his concept of the hero's journey. In this framework, the hero must leave the familiar world and venture into the unknown, where they face challenges, trials, and personal revelations. It is only by stepping into the unknown that the hero can undergo transformation and return with new wisdom. Campbell's idea reflects a universal truth: growth requires moving beyond the boundaries of the known and into uncharted territory. This journey may be uncomfortable, but it is necessary for achieving true self-actualization. A real-world example of the power of embracing the unknown can be seen in entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurs constantly face uncertain outcomes, whether in launching new products, entering new markets, or creating innovative solutions. They are required to take calculated risks without any guarantee of success. However, it is this willingness to embrace uncertainty that often leads to breakthroughs. The tech industry, in particular, thrives on this principle. Innovators like Elon Musk and Steve Jobs have repeatedly stepped into the unknown, creating groundbreaking technologies and redefining entire industries by embracing uncertainty and risk. The key to embracing the unknown is cultivating a mindset that accepts uncertainty as an integral part of growth. This involves reframing fear and discomfort as necessary components of transformation rather than as obstacles to avoid. When people learn to see the unknown not as something to be feared but as a space of potential and possibility, they open themselves to new experiences, relationships, and ways of being. This mindset shift is crucial for overcoming the resistance that often arises when faced with uncertainty. Practices such as mindfulness, meditation, and journaling can help individuals develop a greater tolerance for uncertainty. These practices train the mind to stay present, observe thoughts and emotions without judgment, and detach from the need to control the future. By regularly engaging in these practices, people can begin to build the mental and emotional resilience required to embrace the unknown with grace and openness. One of the most powerful outcomes of embracing the unknown is that it creates a sense of personal empowerment. When individuals confront their fears and uncertainties, they develop a deeper trust in their own ability to navigate life's challenges. This self-trust leads to greater confidence and a sense of agency, which can ripple out into all areas of life, personal, professional, and spiritual. Recommendations. Reframe uncertainty as an opportunity for growth and potential rather than a source of fear. Practice mindfulness and meditation to cultivate a mindset that is open to the present moment and less attached to specific outcomes. Face discomfort and uncertainty regularly to train the brain to handle it with greater ease. Set goals that require stepping outside your comfort zone, recognizing that true growth occurs in the unknown. Build self-trust by reflecting on past experiences where you successfully navigated uncertainty, reinforcing your ability to handle the unknown. We've explored the powerful ways in which your thoughts, emotions, and habits shape your reality and how you can reprogram your brain to create a new future. Each focus point emphasized essential elements of transformation, offering practical insights and tools for shifting your mindset and life. Your thoughts create your reality. We learned that our minds operate like tape recorders, replaying old patterns that keep us stuck in the past. By shifting our focus to the present, we can break free from these limiting beliefs and create new possibilities. Your emotions shape your state of being. Repeated negative emotions become part of your identity. By managing your emotional responses, you can stop letting the past define your present and future. Meditation can reprogram your brain. Meditation allows access to the subconscious, where deep, lasting change can be made. It's a tool to reset your mental and emotional patterns and rewire your brain for the future you desire. Most people live in survival mode. Many of us operate in fear-based survival mode, anticipating the worst. However, by practicing mindfulness and emotional regulation, we can shift from survival to growth, freeing ourselves from stress and fear. Embrace the unknown. True transformation happens when you step into the unknown. Though fear and uncertainty may arise, this space of discomfort is where growth occurs. By embracing uncertainty, we open ourselves to new opportunities and possibilities. Key recommendations. Practice daily meditation to rewire your brain and release old patterns. Stop living in the past by focusing on new possibilities each day. Reframe negative emotions as opportunities for growth. Break free from survival mode by practicing mindfulness and focusing on long-term growth. Embrace the unknown by stepping out of your comfort zone regularly. Remember, the power to change your life is in your hands. Each small shift in your thoughts, emotions, and actions brings you closer to the future you truly desire. The more you listen to empowering content like this, the more you train your brain to embrace new possibilities. Thank you for your ongoing support. If you found this audiobook helpful, don't forget to like the video and consider subscribing to MediaDeem for more inspiring content. Listening to content like this regularly will also help you improve your English skills. After all, the more you listen, the better you speak. Keep listening, keep learning, and keep growing. We appreciate your presence here, and we hope this audiobook has helped spark a transformation in your life. Keep an open mind, embrace the unknown, and trust the process. You are capable of creating the future you envision.